Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Hunter, and I am on the marketing team at Amplify. And I want to thank you for joining our week-long virtual STEM forum on remote learning, and especially for joining today's session with Dan Meyer. Before we get started, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items that will make this process as easy as possible for you. Everyone has entered in listen-only mode. Then if you have a question, please go to the question and answer box, which is Q&A at the bottom of the Zoom screen for you. If you want to interact with your other participants in this presentation, please use the chat box, and it defaults to sending it just to the panelists. So make sure you select all panelists and attendees when you send a message. At the end of the recording, we'll be announcing a webinar winner for attending live, and I'll follow up with the winner offline. And last thing is we'll be sending you a recording of this webinar. It usually comes through in anywhere as soon as 1 hour to about 24 hours after the end of the webinar. In that email, we'll also include a link if you'd like to get a certificate of attendance. So with that out of the way, it's my pleasure to introduce Dan Meyer. Dan is the Chief Academic Officer at Desmos, and his prior work includes, in his words, teaching math to high school students who didn't like high school math. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dan. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Megan. Real fast, Megan, I'm getting some word that there's no chat window. A lot of Q&A folks saying no chat, no chat. Okay. So if you want to dig into that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I can go back in and see if we can get that back up.
Cool. Hey, folks. Good to see you virtually here. Wow, it is day 49 for me, day 49 since Alameda County, where I live in the East Bay area of California, shut it down, put us all on quarantine. How's that feel, day 49? Where are you at? It's been 49 days without a haircut. I was tempted to go no video for this, feeling a little bit shaggy. The fact is I haven't been anywhere in the last 49 days except a grocery store until this last weekend when I went and I risked my life, risked all of our lives really, for a latte. I'm getting a little bit cocky, I think, feeling a little bit invincible, like God's chosen, like I can't be touched by this thing. If you sense that my grip on my sanity is loosening a bit, you would not be wrong. Perhaps the same is true for you. I don't know. My toddlers are sizing me up. They sense my weakness. They're circling in on me, probing me for weakness every day. Won't be long before they are the man of the house. Anyway, it's been wild. It's been a little bit weird. And I know why I'm here. I know why I'm here with you folks. I'm happy to be here. And I'll share what that reason is very soon, shortly. I admit, very curious. Why are you here? And don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled you're here. I actually need you here. My reason for being here requires you to be here. But I like, if you are a practicing classroom teacher, teaching in the apocalypse, in this moment of school closure and crisis, I'm surprised that you have any energy for anything beyond waking up, doing your teaching thing, going to bed, feeding yourself, that kind of thing. It's just enormous what you folks are doing and what you did on a dime when things just shut down and left so many teachers to their own devices to sort out how to do this. I'm amazed. So I'm amazed you're here and happy you're here. I mean, honestly, there's a hierarchy of needs in crisis teaching, right? It's like there's got to keep the coffee supply chain moving. That's base level. Quiet toddlers is nice, not awful Wi-Fi. Better. Haircut would be great. That's a nice to have. And then the nice to have are webinars, learning about teaching, that kind of thing. That's really nice to have, but not the base level need. So I'm thrilled you're here. I'm thrilled that Amplify is offering these to you folks during Teacher Appreciation Week. Speaking of this hierarchy of needs, I really appreciated folks at the start of school closure who would say things like Rebecca Barrett-Fox did, that your class is not the highest priority of students' lives right now. You got to release yourself from high expectations. It's the best way to help your students learn, is to take care of yourself as well. Or the person on Facebook who said to all of us that we are all stick-footing it now, basically referring to this image here. Like the semester began with a high resolution on this drawing, and then you quickly transitioned in the spring towards actual teaching where the horses hoof looked like a stick and a foot, basically. Just appreciate that kind of empathy for what teachers are and we're going through. So whose voice is in your head right now? I'm Dan. I'm the Chief Academic Officer at Desmos, leading up a team of about 15 teachers where we are thinking about math on computers, math in a computer-enhanced classroom. We love paper sometimes, love computers others. We're partnering with Amplify on a new middle school curriculum, K-12 curriculum actually. That's who's talking with you right now, and I'm thrilled to be here. I have one main point. I'll illustrate it a couple ways, and then we'll say so long. That main point is that we are currently in an apocalypse, that you are teaching in an apocalypse, you are coaching, you are administrating in an apocalypse. And when you think of an apocalypse, it's very possible that you think of something like this, like a nuclear cataclysm, total annihilation and destruction. But that's not what an apocalypse meant to the Greeks who coined the term. An apocalypse, I find this definition very interesting right now. An apocalypse is a revelation. It's a revealing. It's an unveiling of things not previously known and things that you couldn't know apart from the unveiling. And so the question I have for you is, what is this pandemic revealing about you? What is this apocalypse revealing about you? What is it revealing about our society, about your schools, about your neighborhoods, your institutions, your neighbors, about teaching and learning? This is a moment which, with all due respect to the awful loss of life and the awful ways that these consequences of government inaction and incompetence have been visited on the most vulnerable and marginalized people in our world, with all due respect to them, this moment could be conceived of as something of a gift in one small way, which is to clarify, to reveal something important to all of us right now. I would love right now to begin that process of figuring out what this reveals about you folks, and also to share what this pandemic has revealed about us, me, Desmos, my team here, what the work we do. And so to understand, to try to understand better about you folks, what I'm gonna do is invite you, share my screen really quickly right here. What I'd like for you to do is to participate in a Desmos activity with me. And it will look like this. We got over 1,000 folks in the chat that I'm seeing. Fingers crossed that we make this work here. I'd love to know, first of all, who do we have here? Like who's in? Are you K-5, 612 teachers, post-secondary, coach, administrators, some other cool thing? Awesome. And then I would love to know 3 other things. One is, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling pretty overwhelmed, sad, in crisis? Totally understandable. Are you feeling like on top of things? Feeling great? I would love to know a creature comfort you missed from your life pre-COVID to get to know you a little bit better. You'll see everyone else's responses when you add your own. For me, that might be a haircut. Would be one. And then here's the two really crucial questions to understand yourself in this apocalypse, I think, is one is, what is your energy like right now? What's your energy like right now? And if 100% is your energy pre-coronavirus, pre-apocalypse, are you operating currently professionally at like 50% capacity? Are you at 100% capacity? Are you for some reason, are you rocking even higher than you were pre-COVID? And then also your time. What does your prep time look like? So if 100% was the amount of prep time you had for your work pre-COVID, where are you right now? Are you at 50%, 0? Are you at 0%? You have like no prep time, respect there. These are the questions I'd love to see how you answer, to help us understand what is revealed by this apocalypse right now. To access that activity, you head to this link right here. I've got 45 people already in, right on. You head to that link right there and type in that code, which we'll also start seeing in the chat coming up. In a class full of students, they scream at you. You've paused the activity. No one can do anything. It's just very different in a virtual world like this. So you're unpaused. Let's answer those real quick. Take a couple minutes. Class code is back, folks. So if you're still looking at my screen, double click on the Zoom window, this webinar here. If you double click on it, it will allow you then to open up. You can go to your other applications, your browser. But right now I might be occupying your entire screen. That's Zoom saying I'm in control. Just double click on it and it should shrink a little bit and head to student.desmos.com and type in that code. I've got 750 people answering these questions. I'm so curious. So you folks should be stuck at the 4th screen. If you just joined us, we're at that link right there on the left. I'm just enjoying some of your comments here. You can read them yourself. I'm going to pause us shortly in about 2 minutes. I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm having an emotional reaction to these comments here. I got to move along. Let's see here. We are at 1,000 students, the most I've ever seen in one of these activities. And my side is getting a little bit creaky. Hope your side is doing fine. Yeah, I just paused you folks. Yeah, look, I'm having a moment here on this side. What I did see is a few things. First of all, I saw people that were talking about how they miss like their jobs. They miss like interacting. Their creature comfort is interacting with students at school. A high five from a student, seeing their students, working with teams, their volleyball teams, their baseball teams, that kind of thing. That's so special. You folks miss that in this moment. I'm asking you about creature comfort. I feel guilty saying I want a haircut, you know. Other folks said that they are like introverted and are feeling pretty good about the situation. This is not a bad deal for them. I saw a second-year teacher in the chat, in this screen right here, who said they're just feeling absolutely obliterated. And yeah, shout out to the new teachers. I promise this is not how it usually is. Although that was in the past, who knows now in the future, I'm not sure. Anyway, that was super helpful. I'm trying to access some other screens here and having trouble with this many people in the activity. But you folks have at this point seen what the average energy level is, if it's high or if it's low. If the average time that people have is high or low, those are some standard energy, standard deviation bars that you're going to see there. And so here's what I want to suggest to you. So I'm going to hit see everyone else here and see if I can see. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so here's the energy. Let me see if I can get time. Yeah, so it looks like average. I don't know who these people are who feel like they have more time and more energy right now. You know, love you, don't understand you, but I dig that. And what I want to say is that our average for both is about 60%. 60% capacity is where we're living right now, most of us. And so when I say, what do you value? What is this apocalypse revealed about you, your teaching, your school, your instruction, your coaching, your administrating? It's what you're doing right now. It's what you do when 40% of your energy and your time just gets chopped off and subtracted from you. And so I have found it so interesting and so revelatory to be on Twitter and watching teachers as they talk about their major concerns right now, what they are working on most, spending their precious time and energy doing. Mr. Kit Math talking about, I got to figure out how to adjust, how to get the magic of my teaching back in this new world. What is your magic of your teaching? Has this apocalypse helped reveal that to you? I love reading Amanda Nelson here saying, like, what I'm doing is I'm posting a short video to give words of instruction. So students hear my voice and see my face daily. What Amanda Nelson perhaps didn't know pre-apocalypse that she now knows in this apocalypse is how valuable face-to-face and voice connection is with students. That's been revealed to her and it won't be unrevealed anytime soon. Or Rebecca here saying, like, I just having people journal, having students journal and then just choose a couple pages to share and I respond, we check in with each other, that's valuable, that this connection between humans is valuable. Doing show and tell every Tuesdays with third graders, also valuable. And then you see people who are saying things like they want to, they're trying to figure out how to communicate grading policy for this semester of crisis and closure. And I'm noticing, let me see if I can pull this up here. This is the link that this group was showing. So they created this kind of dynamic way of communicating what the student's grade is for second semester. This is pretty elaborate use of our graphing calculator. I just want to say, with as little judgment as possible, that by creating this with limited time and energy, this is a communication of values during the apocalypse as communicated. This is a very valuable thing to these people. Or creating an attendance document. Like there's little time to do this, little energy. Attendance, knowing who is present matters to this person. Or someone has been asking, people ask us at Desmos, can we use computation layer, our fancy programming language, to check student work, to validate if student work is correct or incorrect? That even in this apocalypse, it's been revealed to this person that one thing that matters greatly is students knowing whether or not their math work is correct. Do they have the correct expression? And so I'd like to share, that's my main observation here. And if our Wi-Fi connection dies, we punch out right here. That enough has been said. Like I hope you'll reflect on what this apocalypse is revealing to you about what you value in your classes, in your schools. What do we value at Desmos? I could sit here and like talk about our values, as many people do. I wrote like an essay when I learned to be a teacher. This is like 16 years ago, learning to be a teacher. Here's my values, and I had to blur it out. I'm not happy that it's blurred out. I want to just obliterate it. It should be gone. Like it's a terrible expression of values, basically, very choppy. I'm not proud of it. But like, don't read the writing. Don't listen to the words. Instead, see what we're doing. Like, watch what we do with our limited time. Like, we have a team of 30, and many of us have families. Like, I'm personally operating on maybe like half days with quarter days spilled into the weekends and nights. And so we are all having to think very carefully about what it is we value. And so I want to tell you what we value and then show how that manifests in our work in ways that are available to you. If your values are the same as ours, we have tools that can support you in enacting those values. Let's see here. That's this: creativity and connection. creativity for students mathematically, creativity for teachers pedagogically, and lots of connections. I'd love to illustrate that. But first, to share with you what we're not talking about. What we're not talking about is this right here. This right here is an instantiation of what math on computers looks like. There's lots of folks out there that are trying to support teachers with computer-based mathematics, and we're all going various different ways. And it's without disrespect that I want to draw some contrasts here. I think contrast will be helpful. That this right here, what students create on this kind of question, one which I'm sure you're familiar with, what they create is a multiple choice response. That is the sum of their mathematical thinking is manifest in the creation of a multiple choice response. There are only 4 of them, which means there are only 4 kinds of creations that this software will recognize. And what is the connection here? What connections are made here? There's probably some connections in a student's head that I'm not aware of or can't visualize, but the main connection here is between the student's creation and a grading algorithm that will tell the student if they are right or if they are wrong. And we are charting a very different course with respect to creativity and connection with our activities. I'd love to share that with you with a few activities and share with you how you can manifest this yourself in your own classes. Let's see here. Here's my question for you is this. It is a very different way of thinking about graphs in this time of coronavirus, thinking about connection and creativity also with computer-based math. What we have here are 4 websites, ESPN.com, YouTube, Netflix, and House Party. You might not be familiar with some of these, it's possible. These are the graphs of their web traffic, pre and post the first US coronavirus death. That's this line right here is the first death. And then things changed for some of these websites, sometimes in dramatic ways. I'm very curious, can you match these up? Can you take, I'm gonna say like 2 minutes. We gotta move here, folks. 2 minutes and match up graph to the website. You might need to double click on your Zoom window again if it's full screen, but go back over to the activity. I'm gonna pace you to this card sort and you don't have to say it, I'm gonna unpause you right here. Over to you folks. Couple minutes, give your best prediction about those graphs. About to pause you folks in 10 seconds. Okay, check it out here. I'll just say this right here. First of all, I wanted to share responses that I couldn't share before because we have 1,000 people in this activity. One of you folks said that the creature comfort you missed is going to work. You know, power to you. These are folks that are, you know, and asked like about creature comfort, thinking about like, you know, lattes and whatnot, haircuts. Like, yeah, missing students, interacting with students, you know, teacher of the years. If any teachers deserve appreciation this week, it's these folks right here. And then this is our second year teacher colleague. Just send some good vibes through the Zoom webinar window to this person right here. That's just rough times. And then these are some folks that are feeling like life is different and better, don't want to go back. And this resonates with me a bit. I realize there's a position of privilege that I'm still employed and have some food and health and all that. I would say, I would modify this to say like, has made some aspects of my life different and better. And I want to reflect on what those are. And that's the point of this talk right here, is that in this apocalypse, things are revealed. When it comes to the card sort here, I want to call this out, that the most common incorrect grouping, I can find this out. I can see how folks are doing on the teacher side here. Moving a little bit sluggish, but the most common incorrect grouping is Netflix and this particular graph with 200 million as the maximum. Something I notice is that on this screen, there are 3 graphs that are going up, that are increasing dramatically, and 1 that is decreasing. And so when it comes to increasing graphs, you folks need to think very carefully about other pieces of information here, like the rate of increase, or where it started at, or how high the increase can possibly go. And so just to call this out right here, that this would be 200 million Netflix viewers, which would mean in a country of 350 million, I think, that 2/3 of people in the US have Netflix accounts, is one way I'm thinking about this and how to wrestle with this right here. So I'm gonna unpause you folks and give you 30 more seconds, knowing that this is the most common incorrect group, and get your final answer in, and then I'll share with you how you did. Yeah, super interesting. A lot of changes have been made. The most common incorrect card is bouncing around. Real challenging here. I'm going to go ahead and share with you. I'm going to share with you whether you got this right or wrong, and then share with you the answer. Here we go. On the next screen where you folks are at, you can check out how did I do. Click that, and it will show you either a sad cat, and the cat is sad if you have one wrong, or a party cat if you got it right. And over on my screen here, I'm going to grab someone whose cards are correct. And it really was, yeah, I think people largely got ESPN.com. Here is Gertrude Blanche. You are all in anonymized mode right now. I don't think we have 1,000 anonymous names in our database. We present people with names of mathematicians around the world as our anonymized names. We don't have 1,000, I don't believe, which means that some of you folks are doubling up, and we are buckling under 1,000 people. Let's see here. I think I can recall what the answers are. You can bounce back and forth between screens and modify, and then see if you can get this right while we wait for my computer to stop creaking. Yeah, so how I'm thinking about this myself is that ESPN.com way down is the one that's declining on account of not many sports happening. And then, let's see if I got that right there. Yep. And then YouTube is the one with that has just like astronomical numbers of users, in part because it's free, 200 million. And then Netflix is tapping out around 20 million, lots of people, but not 200 million. And then House Party, the one that many of you have never heard of, that I hadn't heard of until this, this is the one that it has the fewest number of users. So I want to call out in a second, just keep in mind what you are creating as a representation of your understanding of graphs that's different than what we had back here, this multiple choice question. Here's another experience with two other experiences with graphs I'd love to share with you. Here's the deal. There is a survey of the US population called the American Time Use Survey, where the Bureau of Labor and Statistics asks a representative sample of Americans from ages 15 to 80, how do you spend your day? They keep a time diary, what they're doing, who they're doing it with. And so the most interesting graphs I have seen in the last years, several years, is this right here, where we have the time spent with friends per day for a 10-year-old, for an 80-year-old, for every age in between. What do you think that graph looks like? Here's a wrong answer. This answer right here says that 10-year-olds spend 9 hours per day with friends, and so do 90-year-olds right here. This is not correct. So what would correct look like, do you think? Once you do your best prediction, you can submit your sketch and see if you were right or not. The same question repeats for coworkers. How much time do 15-year-olds spend with coworkers every day? Is it a lot? Is it a little bit? Create your best predictions there for friends, for coworkers, for partners. And partners, I believe the survey defines this as spouses or unmarried partners. Coworkers is, you don't have a coworker unless you're making money from your work for whatever that's worth. Student to student is not a coworker unless you're getting money, a W-2, that kind of thing. You don't have a coworker. And here's the kicker. Here is the one that hurts, the graph that hurts. And the idea that a graph can hurt, that it can mean that much, is foreign, is a strange concept. But that's what we're after at Desmos, is creativity and connection, graphs that connect with some very deep, very emotional parts of our lives. And so think about how much time people spend alone from ages 15 to 80. Give it your best thought, submit sketch. I encourage you to budget no more than 30 seconds for each of these 4 graphs. I'm curious how close you get. And then the last question I'll ask you to have a look at the answers and say which one you find most resonant, most emotional. Someone called these graphs poetry and data. I'm curious which one feels that way to you. So I'm gonna pace you folks to those screens right now. About 30 seconds per sketch. Give it some thought, draw it, and I'll share the answers. Great question from Gwen. Can you define alone? Is online gaming with friends or social media alone? I want to flag this comment as very, very meaningful to our purposes here at Desmos. I don't know. My guess is that online gaming would be and social media would be defined as alone. And this right here, another question, is this pre or post COVID-19? This survey was before COVID-19. You are welcome to think about this post COVID-19, but the survey was conducted pre-COVID-19. If you're just joining us, you can head to this link right here. Great question. Can't coworkers be friends as well? Yeah, ideally, truly. In the situation where you're both making money from the friendship in that place of employment, we'll call that coworkers. Love it though. 15 more seconds. That last screen gives the answer graphs and invites you to think about which one is most poetic, most interesting to you. I'll pause you in 10 seconds. I'm just enjoying the responses here. Really, this speaks to why I'm here in this webinar, frankly. I have paused you folks, and the majority of people I am learning they find the graph of time spent alone to be the most poetic, most interesting. And the rationales that I'm reading from people are very, they're staggering. It's like, this is a time when you should be enjoying social connections even more than you have been when you were working. And yet so many senior citizens spend time alone. Someone mentioned that there's increasing research on what isolation does to one's physical health and mortality, also extremely interesting. So again, I just want to call this out. This activity for me is slowing down enormously, creaking under the weight of all of you folks and your insight and brilliance. So I was going to ask you folks to answer in the activity itself. I'm just going to ask you this right here. What you have seen is, first of all, what creation and connection looks like on a lot of computer-based mathematics. It looks like asking students to create multiple choice responses, numerical responses. That's the predominant mode of creation in a lot of computer-based math. And to create a connection with a grading algorithm that tells you if you are right or wrong. That is connection and creation. And I would love for you to reflect right now. You might mention this in the chat. You might mention this just in your own head. Just think to yourself, but what representations of mathematics, what representations of your knowledge about graphs did you create? And then what kind of connections did we make back there? I'm trying to think about connection in a pretty broad sense. And I can probably count up maybe 4 different kinds of connections I want to call out that felt pretty important to me. And this is, again, how you see our values enacted. So again, what did we create? And what did we connect? Just take 2 minutes. Think on that, and then I'll bring it back and offer some thoughts here. This is fantastic. Let me share with you what I'm seeing and start to wrap this up. Yeah, so the creations, your creations, you created, as far as I can tell, the following. You created a card sort to represent your understanding of the graphs as they relate to websites and their traffic. A card sort, that's a kind of creation. You also created written responses. You wrote a response about the graph of time use that you found most resonant. That is a creation that's very personal to you. If the multiple choice response has 4 different kinds of creation, a text input box where you're asked a question about something you understand and care about, that offers infinite creations across all the students in the world or your class. That allows, it's a broad palette full of lots of colors to create with. And that's important. How many times when students are doing math on computers, are they asked a question that they just get to type free response to? You folks didn't just see graphs and evaluate them or operate on them. You created your own graph. You sketched your own graph. This is all possible. And so when we think about creation, we're asking ourselves, in what ways can we allow students to create their own mathematics? As far as connection, it is very striking to me that this is a device. I'm on a device right now allowing me to connect with 1,200 people. And I use this device to connect with family that I can't see right now on a weekly basis through our goofy, Zoom calls, FaceTime calls across states and cities. This device that I use to connect socially with so many people, when it comes to mathematics on computers, it is a strikingly antisocial experience. Students largely connect to an algorithm that feels nothing and only judges them. And so think about what connections were made during our time right here. I saw some of your responses and I really appreciate them. Like connections between math and the world seems extremely important here. I want to say that we fostered a connection between the teacher and the students, that between you and me, we have a stronger connection now than before. When I take snapshots of your thinking, when I call your amazing thinking out, and I hold it up to the class and say, wow, isn't this amazing? That creates connection from me to you. We are closer now, you and me. But also important, perhaps more important, is connections between students. So I love that when you submit your response, your text response about something, or your answer to how much energy you have, that you then see what the rest of the class says, that your connection to this quote unquote class of a zillion students grows stronger as well through digital technology. I love that. And I also love the connection between early kinds of knowledge and late kinds of knowledge. Like, when you offer your sketch or your card sort, for instance, I offer you some feedback. Here's the toughest cards to match, and your knowledge matures and your early knowledge gets connected to more formal kinds of knowledge. Those are valuable connections too. Love that. Love that. Yeah, those are connections. This is how we are trying to live out our values around creativity and connection. And what I'm trying to say to you is that since we're operating on reduced capacity at Desmos, we've had to ask ourselves, what do we value and how do we chase after those things? And so here's a few ways in which we have enacted those values. Like with limited time, what we are up to right now is, first of all, we just wrapped up a global art contest where we had, I think it was 4,000 graphs submitted from students around the world, some pretty fantastic work. Where we have a graphing calculator that's not just for graphing linear equations, parabolas, whatever, but people create some bonkers stuff. Like for instance, animated emojis right here. I'm gonna share this with you. Here's emojis that are animated. That is pretty wild to me. Strong work, kids. So here's creativity. We invested ourselves, what few hours we had, we invested ourselves in this graph art contest around the world, lots of translations. Here is one from an Asian country, I expect here, where we have a game inside of a graph. Keep your social distance. You maintain a high score. If you can keep from being infected, I don't know what this person, their angle is right here, but I love it. I'm trying to keep physical distance. We'll call it physical distance, not social distance. Let's go with that. Trying to stay away. I'm digging it up. They got me. Anyway, so we are making that happen. Graph art contests. Others, we allow teachers to create activities themselves, as many of you know. There's more on that in our notes document in the lower right-hand corner there. And we've decided to invest a lot of time from a couple people, John Rowe and Jay Chow, to run activity clinics, one-on-one sessions, no charge. Just sign up for it and then tell them what you want to build, and they'll support you in that, because we don't just want creativity is not just a value that we apply to students and mathematical creativity, but also to teachers and pedagogical creativity. We want teachers to enact creative lessons in their classes using our tools. And so you can sign up for activity clinics. Those are free. More math representation. So we have these right here are some of our popular screens. You'll find these in our notes document as well. Like for instance, land the plane right here, this right here. So here's a popular activity from us. It's where we invite students to create by submitting a line. Let's see, y equals negative 1x plus 15. And when you press submit, it would be dishonoring to your creativity to say wrong, right. Even right would be a bit dishonoring. Instead, we just say, okay, here's what you told us the plane should do. Just like that. And we're non-judgmental about it. You decide if you like how your creativity is represented here. Here's another connection between representations, equations, and graphs. I can modify this maybe 2/3. Voila, the plane lands successfully. And how this is creative is that we built this little button right here at the top of the student screen preview that says copy this screen. So that when I want to make my own activities, I can copy that. And then instead of having this blank activity here, I can go to edit, paste, and now I'm pasting that in. And here is my activity now has something new that maybe I couldn't build on my own, but now it's in my activity. I can customize it. For instance, this is how we're trying to support, again, with limited time, teacher creativity. What else here? Yeah, copy and paste. Wonderful. Great. As far as supporting connection goes, we built these check-in screens, which have been proven enormously popular with teachers who have been starving for some kind of social check-in with their students. So let me see if I have this right here. Yeah, here's, for instance, here's that robot that you saw earlier. So on the robot here, people can drag that, say more about their response. We have a series of other check-in screens, like sketch a picture of something amazing that happened to you today, for instance. Or what would you like me to know about you today? Tell me where you're feeling and the energetic, on this emotional spectrum here, this emotional plane, where are you at? Say more if you want to. And again, we allow, this robot is a graph, actually. It's made of functions, very hard to build. Just press that copy button and paste that into your activity. This part is moving too fast to like follow as a step-by-step, but on our notes document, which I'll post again, you can find instructions for how to do this. This is more, I just want to use this as an illustration of values. That which has been revealed to us at Desmos, to me as one person at Desmos, what has been revealed about our values and how we enact those. What we're doing with our limited time is creating. We created this whole set of check-in screens so teachers could do that. This teacher right here says, I love these starter screens. Last week's check-in was an agree to disagree scale with the statement, I miss school. And in responding to why they miss school, some of these responses are just really fantastic. But I love this from a student right here. I'll read it to you if it's small. I miss school mostly because I miss seeing my friends, and especially those kind of quote unquote, friends. Friends. People that I'm friends with at school, but not really good enough friends that it would be normal for me to text or call them, you know? I love that the apocalypse, this revelatory act has revealed to this student that there is like different kinds of friends, the best friends you remain in contact with throughout the apocalypse, throughout this time of school closure via text or TikTok or whatever. But also like just the friends that you don't think about when you think about like best friends or who's coming over tonight or to my party, but people who make the world for you, who are part of that fabric. This comes from, this comes from a company that values creativity and connection between teachers and students and creates resources to match. Those are our values. Others here, we have the ability, we can offer you folks this. We created written feedback. Teachers were saying like in class, I'm able to give students feedback all the time, just verbally or pop on by their desk or whatever. But very hard to do that in this digital environment here. And so we created a system to give students written feedback. So you can go onto any screen and type some responses back to students and they'll see that on their side. Some of you folks are co-teachers. You have a teacher in your class. If that teacher is doing one of these activities in the classroom with you to see what students are doing, you just can wander on by their computer and there it is. You can partner up that way. But what do you do when you're separated by time and distance, you and your co-teacher, and one of you assigns an activity? Can the other of you see it? You couldn't, but once this apocalypse happened, and what was revealed to us is that we value connection between teachers. We sprang into action and made a co-teacher feature where you can add a co-teacher and send them a dashboard and they can see that work as well. And I also want to add that snapshots, what you saw this teacher doing is snapshots. This teacher right here is snapshotting student work that she wants to share with the class. You saw me do that earlier. And that is a mechanism by which I connect. She connects student work together, draws comparison across work, so productive for learning and for social cohesion. Give me a sec, let's process. Again, if you came here looking for a how to do any of this, you are disappointed right now, I have no doubt. All the instructions for the how-to are at this document down below, bit.ly/teaching-apocalypse. It's all there. This is not intended to be a how-to. This is intended to be a why-to, like why do anything? Why do what we do? Why, and invite you to reflect on why are you doing what you're doing? The actions you have undertaken as your energy and time has been chopped by 40%, according to our survey. Those actions reveal a lot about what you prioritize for your students. I'm just inviting you to reflect on that. We are teaching in an apocalypse. It is unclear to me, to you perhaps, when the apocalypse will end. Will it end in the fall? I don't know. Will schools look very different? Will society look different? I imagine so. One thing I do know for sure is that you cannot unreveal that which has been revealed. So for us, what I am asking myself right now is, given what has been revealed to us, to me, our values around creativity and connection, what does that mean for us when school restarts and starts approximating something normal? How should I change how I spend my day, my limited hours on this earth? What does that mean for me? And I encourage you to, again, seize the limited blessings of this time, one of which being that you now know something you might not have known had we not all closed our schools. You know something about yourself, about your students, about your priorities, your values. So hold on to that, please, and let your classes not be the same. Your schools not be the same. Our society not be the same when we have more slack in the system. When your energy is restored to you, use that energy to pursue your values with even greater vigor than before, is what I hope for you. Again, I know why I'm here with you folks today on this webinar. I'm here because I value creativity and connection, and I spend most of my day trapped inside four walls with two rabid animals I call my children, my wife, and I have been craving community and connection with people. And there's no community I love more than the community of educators, of teachers who share my values around students learning. I'm here because I needed to create something. So I created this presentation. I've been creating it up until the minute you folks walked in the door. All of that is, those are reflections of my values and what I need. And so I would love to hear more from you folks. If you want to email me, tweet me, get in touch. I'd love to hear what you're learning about your own values while you teach in the apocalypse. Thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure. And I'm going to grab some questions from the Q&A, some comments, take off otherwise whenever. Let's see here. Great stuff. Love you. Is this a resource that would work well in a kindergarten classroom? I'll say the activity builders could be useful wherever you want to use it. I would say that our curriculum has been used largely in grades 5 through 12, maybe grade 3 as well, but we're still working on better support of elementary teachers. Other platforms or apps I'd suggest that are math friendly. Yeah, I mean, I should say no, we're the only people doing this, but I do love seeing companies and groups that are pursuing similar values of connection and creativity. I would say I love right now, I really enjoy ClassKick. Is a company that takes very seriously how students can connect online through distance and space. Give them a look. Let's see here. Give them a look. Nearpod and Parrot and Pear Deck also have ways to create activities similar to this. Dig it. So again, this document that we have down below here, bit.ly/teachingapocalypse, that contains links for everything today, including this Apocalypse Desmos activity, which you can grab whatever you want from. It's just an assemblage of various resources. Can you use Desmos in a science classroom? You can use Desmos in any classroom. You can use Desmos. We've used Desmos for bar trivia, for pub trivia. We've used Desmos. It's just an activity builder. It's free. We're never going to charge for that. That's a promise we've made. Use it for whatever class, wherever it's helpful. Again, to create, help students create, help you create, and make connections. Folks are asking about webinars to follow up on this. Shoot, I should have that, and I don't think I do. Here, desmos.com. Let me add to this. Desmos.com, learn.desmos.com/webinars. We're running webinars about Desmos. If you want more how-to, we're running webinars every day, multiple times per day. We didn't used to do that, but we saw the need. These are free. We'd love to help you out with that. Fantastic. You can create resources for science, create resources for math. Is there a size limit for activity builder? Apparently 1,000. If you are a teacher who has a greater than 1,000 to 1 student to teacher ratio, I would recommend rethinking activity builder until we get this more robust. This has been a little bit creaky for me. Leah asks about our new K-12 math curriculum. Amplify folks, Megan, get in touch with Leah. Yeah, we're basing it off of the illustrative mathematics, open source, fantastic curriculum, and adding a digital layer that enhances the kinds of activities students do, gives them better feedback, more connection, more creativity. Stan Munson, get in touch with me, Dan at Desmos, about 3-act math, not happening here. Webinars are getting sent out. Can anyone use the computation layer scripting? Anyone can. That's free too. We use it to build our own activities and just made it available to you folks. Pythagorean theorem activity. Meryl, head up Taco Cart. The slide deck is not available. There will be a web recording though that will be. If you want some specific resources from that, let me know. Email me, Dan at Desmos. Jelena, thanks for being here. You folks energize me. Some huge questions here. If I haven't gotten yours, hit me up, Dan at desmos.com. The bit.ly at the bottom is covered by the gray bar. Brutal. bit.ly/teaching-apocalypse. To copy and edit the Apocalypse activity, head to Labs. Turn on computation layer. That might help you here. What's the cost for the activity clinic? Stan Munson, glad you asked. It is $free, free. We're investing our time and supporting teachers in their creation because that is a value of ours. That's all I got. Resource document. Lots of folks asking if this can be used in science. Absolutely. We are a math ed tech company, so the activities that we have created largely hover around math. But you folks, we share a lot of common cause, obviously, math and science folks. Wow, Debbie, quoting Debbie here, we are definitely in an existential crisis. Who we are as a people will be revealed in the other end, whenever and whatever that is. We need to encourage kids. Their worlds are falling apart at a rapid rate. That's grim and that's real. Thanks for that.
It looks like a lot of the questions are slowing down, that if you still have one, if you want to go ahead and put them in the chat. But the one that I keep receiving is, when will I get my certificate? And is there a recording? Yes to both. You'll get it takes between 1 hour to 24 hours to get the recording. And in the recording, there will be a link to request a certificate if you would like one. And then I'll edit the email right now so we can put the bit.ly link in there as well.
I'm going to stay on for another few minutes and answer a few more questions coming out here, including a very important one from Donna Rosenberger. Where do you get your funding? Whenever anyone promises you something free, especially someone from somewhere as mercenary as a corporation like Desmos or Amplify, you got to ask them, so how's that work? I've seen too many ed tech companies go belly up after teachers have built stacks of materials on top of them, or change their funding model, or throw ads up. So yeah, you should ask. And the answer for us, how we can make activity clinics, activity builder, all these supplemental activities free, is that we charge for other stuff. We charge for integrations with other businesses, with assessment consortia. We will be selling a complete curriculum with Amplify. These are all ways that we can make large portions of our work free to you folks. Desmos, Illustrative Mathematics, and Open Up Resources are, sorry, not Open Up Resources, but we are taking the Open Up Resources curriculum, which many of you are familiar with. Very fantastic, highly rated curriculum. It's open source. Anyone can pick it up and print it out, build on it, use it. And we've created our own kind of layer on top of that, adding interactivity, adding these powerful teacher tools around the 5 practices like snapshotting. I'm not quite sure when that's available from Amplify. Megan might know. Desmos has been piloting for quite a while now, and it's coming up in plural years, 1 year.
Yeah, we have a rolling schedule based off of the grades. So if you want to stay up to date, amplify.com/math, you can sign up to stay in the know as things become available.
Dominique, thanks for stopping by all the way from the Bahamas. That's amazing that we can do this. I had folks on a webinar from the UK today. Just love we connect together across distance, time, and space. Very cool. Let's wrap it up here, folks. If you have questions I did not answer that still feel important to you after we all shut down here, my email address is there. My Twitter handle is there. Again, it's been just a gift to be in community with you folks, exercising my connection and creativity. That's what I need right now. I hope this is good for you too. Thanks so much and take care.
Thanks, Dan, and thanks everyone for attending. Have a great rest of Teacher Appreciation Week.